Hi everyone. Today I'll be talking about workplace violence. So workplace violence is defined as violence or the threat of violence against workers. And I chose to do this topic because I think it applies to every type of work. It also includes verbal abuse, physical assaults, homicide, and harassment. And again, I think this is relevant to any type of work and to any job. But we are going to discuss some jobs that are affected more than others. However, 2 million American workers are victims of workplace violence every single year. Those who are most affected are workers who deliver passengers, goods, or services, work alone, work late at night, and work in high crime areas. So some specific examples of these would be psychiatric evaluators, probation officers, taxi drivers, and social service workers. Taxi drivers being the most, I believe, is what we learned in our book. So how are some ways that we can make workers safer? And this would apply to anybody going into any management position as well as employees. So one thing we can do is provide safety education, so how to recognize when you're in an unsafe place or a coworker is in an unsafe situation and report it to management. Secure the workplace using video surveillance, extra lighting, and alarm systems. And instruct employees to stay away from unsafe areas. Some ways we can do this is using the buddy system, an escort service, or police assistance if they do have to enter an area that is unsafe or an area of high crime. So here are some examples of how we can prevent workplace violence from occurring in the first place. One way is by workplace design. An example of this would be physical barriers. So for example, locked doors that you can only get into using a certain key or badge. Minimizing the number of entrances into the building. Controlling access to the buildings and equipment. And using adequate lighting. Crime is a lot less likely to occur and workplace violence is a lot less likely to occur in areas of high lighting. So some administrative practices that we can use to prevent workplace violence include minimizing cash register funds, using a locked drop safe, and arranging for secure and varying cash collection. And varying cash collection as in having differing times every single week for when cash is collected and making sure that that process is secure. Some work practices include preparing a daily work plan so that others know where you are at all times, so that if something were to occur, they would know where you were, where to start. You could identify emergency contacts, which is another big one. Check the credentials of clients and visitors, so making sure everybody that comes into the building is supposed to be there and that you know that they're there. And never traveling alone in unsafe areas. So what can you as an employee do to stay safe? Number one is attend personal safety training programs to learn about how to stay safe and how to keep others safe as well. Avoid traveling alone, so using the buddy system. And carrying minimal amounts of money makes you much less likely as a target of a crime or theft. So what are some opportunities that OSHA provides to prevent and deal with workplace violence? So one way is some preventative strategies and tools for harassment, threats, and homicide. Another thing that OSHA provides is training for employers and employees. They also have specific training and standards for affected fields. So like taxi drivers and perhaps personnel that work in areas late at night or in areas of high crime, they have specific safety training and standards in those highly affected fields. And finally, they have information on the rights of victims and seeking legal help. So OSHA provides some standards as well as specific contacts I found on their website for how to seek legal help and what to do if you are a victim of workplace violence. And OSHA actually helps victims of workplace violence significantly. And that's the conclusion of my presentation. So again, this is relevant to all areas of work, And this is something that as future managers and future leaders of companies, we need to be aware of some preventative strategies, as well as what to do if ourselves or if our employees are placed in a dangerous situation. Thank you.